Hello and welcome to an episode of Historically Marked. I am Jason. I am in downtown St. Louis at the corner of 11th and Convention Center, which used to be Morgan Street. But I am here to talk about the mystery behind the song, Stagger Lee. Most of us know it, and it's an old song. It dates back to a century, and I'll tell you more about it. Plus, we'll be visiting the graves of two men who inspired the song. So let me tell you all about it. Here we go. So there's not much here, but in the late 19th century, this was once considered the red light district in St. Louis. It was the place where gambling and prostitution, among many other sins, were ruled. But this was the spot where Bill Curtis Tavern was, and a fight between two men who were somewhat friends, maybe enemies. One shot another over something, and it became a popular song. So Stagger Lee is a popular American blues folk song that dates back to 1911, which obviously goes back to more than a century. However, it could have been possibly dated back to 1897. But the song has been covered numerous times since then. I mean, there's a long list of people who have done it, from Bob Dylan to Amy Winehouse, also James Brown, the Righteous Brothers, Huey Lewis, Wilson Pickett, and the most famous version went to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 1959 by Mr. Lloyd Price. Lloyd Price passed away less than a year ago in May of 2021, but it was also known to be one of Rolling Stone magazine's top 500 songs of all time back in 2003. It did not, however, make the revised list 2 years ago. But Stagger Lee shot a man, and Stagger Lee had become the archetype with some black people who admire the gangster type, a parallel to the glorification of the outlaw by a section of mainstream society. But this corner right here was once the Bill Curtis Saloon, and the address is A101 North 11th Street. And this is where the legend began for Stagger Lee, or Stak-O-Lee, or however way you want to put it. But this is where it all began and where all the legends developed, and it became very popular American folklore. So now we're going to go visit the graves of the two men who were the people who got into a disagreement, argument, and it eventually led to murder in a very quick snap. So I'll go ahead and take you to those graves, both of which are in Normandy, Missouri, which is about quite a drive here. All right, here we go. All right, so now I'm in Greenwood Cemetery, which is in Normandy, Missouri, which is just not too far from the St. Louis city border. That over there is the final resting place for Harriet Robinson Scott, who was Dred Scott's wife. Now there's a cenotaph of her at Dred Scott's grave in Calvary Cemetery, which I featured in a video. And I must apologize for the wind. So Lee Shelton, it is not known where he is actually buried, because both him and Lyons were buried in unmarked graves during that time, but a group called the Killer Blues Headstone Project put some stones up for some famous blues musicians that were from St. Louis that are buried here, and one of them was Lee Shelton, and it was placed there in 2013 or 2013. It's right here. So before I show you the actual stone, let's take a look at some of these other. There's Bertha Henderson, a Paramount recording artist, blues pioneer Milton Sparks, Stagger Lee, Mary Johnson, classic blues singer, Grant Green. I'll definitely have to look them up when I get home. And this is the stone that was placed for Stagger Lee Shelton. Again, it was in 2013. So Stagger Lee, he was a black pimp living in St. Louis, Missouri. And it was in the late 19th century. He was born in Texas on March 16th, 1865. Now, he later moved to St. Louis working as a carriage driver, but it wasn't long before he gained a reputation as a pimp and a gambler. He was nicknamed Stagger Lee or Stak-O-Lee, with a variety of explanations being given. Now, he might have went by the nickname because he went stag, meaning alone, or he took the nickname from a well-known riverboat captain called Stak-O-Lee. Or he may have also taken the name from a riverboat owned by the Lee family of Memphis called the Stak-O-Lee, which was known for its onboard prostitution. Shelton was well known locally as one of the Macs, a group of pimps who demanded attention through their flashy clothing and appearance. In addition to these activities, he was the captain of the Black 400 Club, a social club with a dubious reputation. Now, the 400 Club made its headquarters at that place I just showed you, at Bill Curtis Saloon. So here's how the shooting went down. Okay, it was Christmas night in 1895. Shelton and his acquaintance or friend, William Billy Lyons, were drinking in the Bill Curtis Saloon. Now, Lyon was also a member of St. Louis's underworld and may have been a political business rival to Shelton. But, like I said, they were actually friends, as it appeared to most people, but they were probably at the level of friendship where they would say such stuff behind their backs. Who knows? It is said that they were shooting craps, and but nobody knows what started the argument, what fueled it. Some say it was a woman, some say it was an unpaid gambling debt or something. I don't know. It could have been anything, but history did not record that. So whatever it was, something escalated between the two. Eventually, the two men got into a dispute, during which Lyons took Shelton's Stetson hat, which he was very notorious for, and he treasured it because, like I said, the pimp group, they wanted to be known for their clothing. They wanted to be known. Subsequently, Shelton shot Lyons, recovered his hat, and left. Now, Lyons instantly died of his injuries. Shelton was charged, tried, and convicted of the murder in 1897. He was paroled in 1909, but he returned to prison in 1911 for assault and robbery. He was not able to get probation, and soon after, he contracted tuberculosis. Shelton would die in incarceration at the Missouri State Penitentiary in 1912, or according to this, March 11th, 1912. And again, it is not known where Lee Shelton was actually buried. He is indeed buried here, but this, like I said, the cemetery dates back to 1874. So, yeah. But the same goes for his rival Lyons, and I'm going to try and attempt to find his grave over at St. Peter's Cemetery, which is just not even half a mile from here. So, go ahead and venture on. All right, so now I am at St. Peter's Cemetery, which is just like not even half a mile from where I was in Greenwood Cemetery in Normandy. And there's a lot of famous people buried here, and according to findagrave.com, this is where a lot of people believe that he, as in Lyons, is buried. And I'm not entirely sure where they got their source, and I printed out a picture just in case, this right here. And this definitely matches the detail in the background, so it is believed that he was buried just right here in an unmarked grave. And interestingly, he is buried next to, supposedly, Henry Bridgewater, who was a businessman, social and civic activist, baseballist, owner, manager of the St. Louis Black Stockings. Yeah, I did a video on that a year ago. Wow, that is so bizarre. But unfortunately, very little is known about Willie Lyons. He was either 30 or 31 years old when he was shot and killed. And I'm not entirely sure, like, more on his background. But he is pretty much a folk figure in American history. Best way to put it, I guess. All right, thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Historically Marked. Hope you enjoyed this interesting journey. I love to do more stories about behind the songs or behind the tales a lot in the future, but definitely it was definitely worth checking out the graves of the two men who helped inspire the song. So definitely next time you're on your favorite music streaming device, whether it be like Spotify or Apple Music, crank it up, baby. Stagger Lee. Any version is suitable. So All right, well, I'm Jason in Normandy, Missouri, signing off.